Welcome into your Tuesday 1021 edition of First and Five. I'm your host, Dave Myers, is joined always on Tuesdays by Jon Helmkamp. This is the bye week edition. And as you saw the title of the thumbnail, what is wrong with the Buffalo Bills offense? So we're going to kind of break things down. And before we came live, we were kind of discussing a few things. And then obviously we'll give you a little bit of a snippet of what we think about the Panthers game coming up here on Sunday. So, all right, Jon, we've had... Obviously, last week we had our vent session, therapy session, whatever you want to call it. How are we feeling a week later? Are you feeling any different knowing that there was a Sunday and Monday full of football games, watching other teams play? How do you feel, man?
I think I take a little bit of stock in the fact that it doesn't feel like any team is really great right now. So that makes me feel slightly better. But that one team that wears a lot of red that we seem to struggle with in the playoffs every year, yeah, that team's starting to look good. So that's a concern. I don't like seeing Kansas City get hot and the rest of the AFC West just deciding to kind of crumble. Now Denver pulled off that phenomenal comeback,
Right.
which thank you, Denver. That's great. Right. But Denver and the Chargers started the season so strong, and I thought that they were really going to give Kansas City a solid run for it and make it hard for them to come back. But they've each dropped a couple games, and Kansas City, they're right in it. They're like one game back, and yeah. So I'm feeling okay coming out of the bye week. I feel okay. I don't think the world is burning, but I definitely still have some leftover hesitations, concerns, trepidations, if you will, about this team coming out of the bye.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the season's just going to be a whole lot of peaks and valleys for the league in general. Like you said, there's so much just mediocre football week to week. And sure, the Chiefs have seemingly pulled out a few nice wins and things like that, but I don't know, man. Like a lot of teams that look bad one week look like world beaters the next week. And then you think, okay, that's who that team really is. Like, look, I mean, yes, it's the Miami Dolphins, but the Cleveland Browns defensively are a really good football team, and they actually scored points. So it's like, that's a team that's on your schedule. And if you have to play them, you have to be concerned with their defense. So it's just stuff like that, in years past, I feel like we were fortunate to have the AFC East. And we were fortunate to have the best coach in the AFC East. And I feel like that shit might have passed by a little bit. Obviously, that's a different topic for a different day. We're going to talk about the Bills offense here today. And I've listened to a lot of podcasts. I've watched a lot of podcasts. I've listened to a lot of national media. I mean, I think since the game's been over, this is my 5th or 6th podcast. I was on one last night. So it's a lot of, I'm kind of gathering a lot of people's opinions and kind of trying to put my own sense into what could possibly be going on with this Bills offense. And I think we need to start with Joe Brady first and foremost, and then we can kind of break down the other 3 people that we really want to talk to. So Joe Brady seemingly did this last year too, where we had that lull, right? We had the lull against those the Texans, and then the lull against the Ravens, where it just seemed like the offense was disjointed and things like that. But now this seems different because it's not just the past 2 games. I feel like the writing's been on the wall that things weren't very structured offensively, and there was some cute plays, and there was some plays where you're not scheming guys to get open, and then there's the lack of the use of James Cook. So overall, what's your thought process? The first 6 games, definitely the last 2 games, as to what could possibly be happening to this Bills offense. I know it's a loaded question.
It's an incredibly loaded question. Injuries certainly play a bit of a role, but this is an offense that had injuries at the wide receiver position last year. And I don't feel like we saw a lot of the same that we're seeing right now. I think, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's an internal decision between Brady and McDermott to try to be more conservative and rely on defense, which seems just like the absolute worst case scenario for the way that this roster is constructed right now. You and I were talking about it a little bit off air. I think there's a bit of an identity crisis kind of happening a little bit in terms of who does what on this team and struggling to find those roles and figure out who needs to get the ball in what circumstances. I don't understand why he's gotten away from the ground game over the last 2 games. That to me is baffling because that was the strength of this team last year. This is a team that could just muscle a ground game. The offensive line would go out and they would dominate and they would create lanes for James Cook, who would gash it and tear it up. And early in the season, that's what the Bills offense was doing. But the last 2 games, at times he would just inexplicably go away from it. In the Atlanta game, James Cook was ripping them for big runs, and then the next drive they would just disappear. It would just go away. And it's like, why are you not sticking with this? So I think the play calling has just been inconsistent and a bit forced. And there's just no kind of rhythm to it. Like, we're used to this offense having such like a swagger and a rhythm, and we can run the ball and then we can play action off of it, or we can just start with the play action and then go back to a run or whatever. But there's been many drives that are just like run, deep shot, punt. And you're like, what was that? Like, what was that? I just don't understand the philosophy at times. It's almost like there's just not a plan. Like, sometimes he just doesn't know what the plan should be. And listen, I'm not an offensive coordinator. He knows a lot more about the game of football than I do. But from the outside, it just seems like the offense is at times really disjointed and not knowing who needs to do what in terms of production. Like, you have James Cook, and we talked about it in the show last week, in the Atlanta game, how the last 2 games, James Cook's lack of involvement in the passing attack makes no sense. 1 target over 2 games for a running back that's just lethal in the open field. I actually got into a back and forth with Stevie Johnson on Twitter, talking in like a good back and forth, like both saying the same thing. Get the dude the ball in space. Just get the ball to your playmakers in space and let them create or design up some creative stuff. All the stuff that we said last week on the show. But James Cook's 14 targets rank 34th amongst running backs in the NFL at this point in the season for a guy that's your most explosive playmaker on offense. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't understand some of the decisions that are going in and what the philosophy is of this offense. I don't know what the philosophy is of this offense. And that to me is a big red flag. I don't know who they are right now. I don't know if it's a ground game. I don't know if it's a deep shot game. I don't know if it's a screen attack. I don't know if it's mesh. It just seems lost in the sauce right now. And like, they're trying to figure it out. Hopefully they did that on the bye week.
Yeah. And you know what hurts the most is watching the Lions game last night. And you could tell Dan Campbell was just like, just however you want, just give the ball to Gibbs. Just give the ball to Gibbs. And the same thing with the 49ers. Just give the ball to CMC. And I think at this point in his career, and Jahmyr Gibbs, I feel like James Cook is right there with those guys as far as a talented, athletic running back that can do a lot more than just hand the ball off to him and he runs, through holes. He's been shown to be effective. And I know I've probably, beat this horse to death the past week and some change about why aren't we getting him the ball more? I don't understand if the philosophy, maybe to an extent, I was trying to get into Joe Brady's head and say, maybe they're expecting us to run, so maybe we'll pass. But you know what? Last year and the beginning part of this year, teams knew the Bills were going to run and they ran anyways, because that's what they do. They play bully ball and they have a physical offensive line. They bring in the 6th man. They have Jackson Halls now. So to me, it's just, I don't understand where the disconnect, I guess, from Sean McDermott to Joe Brady is, because we know about how Sean McDermott got into it with Brian Daboll and about how Daboll didn't want to run the ball and McDermott wanted to run the ball. And apparently they butted heads over that. Ken Dorsey seemed to run the ball a little bit more. And then Joe Brady was just like, yes, sir, I'll run the ball as much as I want last year, or as much as you want, we'll run the ball. And the Bills turned into this 30 passing, 30 rushing touchdown team, no turnovers, no fumbles, no nothing. And now here we are. James Cook, you give the ball to him 5 times on a drive and the Bills score in the 3rd quarter against the Falcons. And then the next 2 drives, you could tie the game because it's 21-14. Your defense just made a stop, but what are you going to do? You're going to throw 3 incomplete passes and put your defense right back on the field. It's frustrating. The Bills punted 6 times. I can't remember a game where the Bills punted 6 times. So I don't know. I think I'm hoping the 2 weeks is a time for some reflection. It's a time to look at things in the past that have worked. Look in your locker room at number 17 and say, this guy is the answer right here. And then look at number 4 and say, that guy's also an answer right there. And maybe they start putting some better play designs together, because I can't believe that Joe Brady just forgot how to call this offense. I really can't. So that's why I'm struggling to figure out what went wrong. Like, because we were exposed last year because of the everybody eats and nobody gets open. Maybe we were exposed again because everybody eats and nobody gets open. So I kind of don't know where to even go with Joe Brady, because we've seen him be effective. We've seen him do things that were like, man, that was beautiful. That drive was beautiful. Now we need players to execute. I get that. Maybe we should put some of the onus on the players too for the lack of execution it seems like we have this year with the penalties and some other stupid things that they're doing. But I don't know. But I mean, we could start with Josh Allen. As far as we got 3 players we want to talk about. And Josh Allen, to me, the last 2 weeks resembles a lot of 2023 Ken Dorsey Josh Allen. Do you get that same vibe, or am I completely in left field here? I feel like,
I mean, the last 2 weeks, I agree. A lot of indecision, a lot of lack of confidence, it seems. Early in the season, we came on here and I said it just feels like Josh goes out there and he can do whatever he wants on the field. Like, he's just in complete command of this offense. The last 2 games cannot be further from that. Right. Like, that Josh is just not out there right now. And I think part of it's the play calling. Part of it's on the players. Part of it's on guys not getting open as much, or, he's missing some open looks out there too. Feel like he's a little bit more hesitant to run for some reason. And I feel like that's something that he can lean more into when stuff breaks down. Instead of forcing it, he, take off. Like, go be Josh Allen. Go be a human bulldozer. He's like the only quarterback in the league that I would kind of willingly say that about. Right. But it's part of his game, and it's part of what makes him so special. So, I think there's some hesitation, some indecisiveness kind of poking through in the last couple of weeks. And part of that's on the offensive line. Part of it's on him holding the ball too much. Part of it's on receivers not getting open. Part of it's on play call. It just seems to be very disjointed right now.
I was having a conversation yesterday with a buddy of mine who's a season ticket holder, and he's been a fan forever. And he brought up a good point. It's like, I feel like Josh is caught somewhere in the middle of MVP Josh and 2023-ish, 2022 Josh, where I feel like he wants to pull the trigger at times and doesn't, but then the times when he doesn't want to pull the trigger, he does, and it's a bad decision. Or it's just an inaccurately thrown pass to a guy who's completely blanketed. Like you said, I don't know if there's been talks about maybe he needs to cut down some on the running, because the Falcons game, he had nowhere to go. He just had no, like, there was times past where he'd be blitzed, he'd roll out right or left, and he would go get 7, 8, 10 yards, right? Duck out of bounds or whatever. And I feel like that just wasn't there. Now, I don't know if he's seeing the field different the past 2 weeks and he's just not seeing the same things. And that's concerning, because I think we can all agree, as far as from a control aspect, last season he was the most in control, I think, that we've ever seen him. As far as, like you said, he can do what he wanted. He put the ball where he wanted. There was games that he just took over. The Lions game, he just took over and just did what he wanted. And we saw a little bit of that against the Ravens. We saw it a couple times here and there throughout the early parts of this season. But Brady, I feel like, lost the will to give his skill position guys, put them in positions to scheme them open, I guess. I feel like that went away, because these are the same guys that we were scoring 30 points with just 4 weeks ago. So has the league caught up to, like, let's just play press and the Bills aren't going to be able to open and we're going to blitz, and Josh has nowhere to go with the ball, so he's going to make a bad decision. He's going to revert back to forcing things. Or is it just that we lack the weapons for the defense's schemes now, and they're just like, okay, you can't beat us. There's no one that you have, especially against the Falcons when you're playing without Dalton Kincaid. It's just kind of tough. So I don't know. It's a myriad of a lot of things that I've been taking kind of different outlooks at things and trying to figure out. Okay, the Bills are like 11-8 in weeks 4, 5, and 6 since 2020, but then their win percentage is like 750 the rest of the year. So they're gonna figure it out. It's gonna be great and all this stuff. But then I'm like, if you go back and look at some games early on, like the offense was kind of ugly and disjointed. Now they scored 30 points, so we didn't nitpick like we are now because they're losing. So what's your thoughts on? And I'm going to jump to Keon Coleman here because that's a hot button with everybody. I feel like because of where he was picked, and I've put some videos out and I've talked about it endlessly the past 2 weeks. What's your thoughts on Keon Coleman in this whole? He could be a big slot, and that's where he should play, and all this other stuff, and forcing targets to him. Like, what's your thoughts on Keon Coleman so far? I mean, he's played 20 NFL games.
My thoughts on Keon Coleman are tied to my thoughts on the entire wide receiver room, which is you've drafted a lot of people that do the best in the same space on the field. And that's a problem because he and Josh Palmer operate in a similar area on the field, I think, except I think that Josh Palmer is better. Keon Coleman is not your prototypical X receiver. I think that they're giving him looks out there because he's big and because he can jump, and he's doing some of that okay. We talked about it before the show, though. They're trying to figure out what he is, and when I was saying earlier that there's like an identity problem, this is what I was alluding to. They don't know who fits where the best on this offense because they don't know where Keon Coleman should be, and if he should be an X, then you put him at X, and then you have Kincaid as your slot, or not Kincaid, sorry, Khalil Shakir as your slot, and then Josh Palmer as your Y. Great, that makes it easy to understand. But if he's not winning and creating separation down the field, then as an X receiver, he's basically just limited to jump balls. Those can be fine. Those can be helpful. They're good things to have in your bag. But if that's the only thing that he offers as an X receiver, he's just getting pressed. Like they're just going to go out there and like, okay, well, I'm just going to press you because you're not going to run by me in a straight line. You don't have the moves to create separation and shake and all that stuff and open up down the field into like a post and stuff like that. Like, has Josh ever connected with him on a deep post? Like, have we ever seen that route work with Keon Coleman? I don't even know that they've run it. Like, it's just not something that you see with him.
The only deep ball I remember throwing to Keon was against the Lions when it was
right.
It was a backyard, like the play broke down and Josh said, just run. And he was covered and he made a nice catch. But other than that, like he just can't get the separation, I think, to where Josh trusts that. If you look at his route tree, somebody posted his route tree from Next Gen Stats, and his route tree is all over the place. They got him doing intermediate at the line of scrimmage, 10, 15, 20. They got him doing everything and I didn't mean to cut you off and steal your thunder.
No, but how much of it is he doing well? Like, sure, they have him doing those things. It's almost like they're giving him tryouts.
So let me ask you this.
Let's throw this out there.
Let me ask you this. Are the Bills and Josh Allen forcing targets to Keon because they feel like they need to force targets to Keon? And I say that because if you put Tyrell Shavers in those routes, Josh does not trust Tyrell Shavers. No. He's not going to target that route as much if you have a Tyrell Shavers running that route, because he knows that he doesn't have to force feed Tyrell Shavers because he's not a second round pick that has a ton of pressure on him that Josh handpicked. That, do you see where I'm going with this? Like, if and I hate to say limit Keon's snaps, maybe he just becomes like a 1 or 2 trick pony inside the red zone or something, but so be it. Because to me, how long are you gonna like let this go on to where you're trying this experiment out wherever he's trying to fit in until it's like, okay, we need to move on. not from 𝐾𝐨 as the player, but we need to start like pushing this
What's
offense
best
a
for the
different way.
offense?
Yeah, like is it going to be we're 4-4, we're 4-5, God forbid, we're 4-6 or 5-5? I mean, fans forget we were 6-6 2 years ago. So like we've been there recently. We've been 500 football recently. So I just how long is the experiment of Keon Coleman not being able to win at all these myriad of routes and just make him your red zone target? Like that's
Yeah, and that's
you know
honestly why I think you drafted him knowing that he is athletic and explosive, but not fast and agile.
right.
He can run decently well, and once he has the ball in his hands, he's athletic with it. You know that he can jump out of the building. He's a basketball player, a college basketball player at Michigan State. So you know that he was going to be a 6'3", 215-pound wide receiver that can jump. Okay, that's great, and it's nice to have that on the team somewhere. But like you're saying, it's almost like they drafted a specialist role
Right.
with the draft capital and usage expectations of a more well-rounded wide receiver, with someone who can contribute in more ways, which is why I think that you see all of these back shoulder fades where Keon might make an amazing catch, and those have happened. He's made some great 50-50 ball catches down the sideline, for sure. There's also been a lot of incomplete passes, and it's almost like they're throwing it up thinking there's three true outcomes. It's either giving me an incomplete pass, a defensive pass interference, or Keon makes a great catch, and it makes people happy. But those are low probability plays. Those don't keep the chain moving most of the time. And it's like they're going to it. It just doesn't fit the rest of this offense. This offense is predicated on spacing and timing and on getting open and on yards after the catch. They preach that all the time. They love the yak. And you've seen them try to get Keon into these really quick slants where they get him, get him a really fast slant where he has one step on the defender and they get the ball on him. Not like they're letting it develop across the field or anything like that, but just these really quick slants to try and get him the ball and hope that he makes one guy miss and then he's off to the races. But a lot of the times those haven't worked. We've seen him drop them. We've seen them hit him in the face mask. Or we've seen it go for a 4-yard catch and a tackle and that's the end of the play. They're trying to unlock something in him that I just don't know is there. And it's disappointing. And I'm rooting for him so hard. Like I want him to succeed. Yeah, I want him to succeed, but I just don't see it right now. I don't know what the utilization is on this offense that actually contributes to this offense other than, like you said, some red zone packages, some jump balls, some stuff like that. But as an every down threat, he's out there running cardio and getting a lot of really, really low probability targets. He leads this team in targets right now.
Yeah.
This is not a target hog wide receiver.
Right.
That's not who he is. It's they're forcing the ball to him on these sideline routes instead of 𝐾𝐨𝐿 having, the most targets on the team, instead of Dalton Kincaid. I know there's the injury and he probably factors into this more heavily if he doesn't miss any time. But it's just I'm growing really concerned because I feel like forcing the ball to Keon Coleman is hampering what makes this offense so good.
And like trying to force feed him, slant routes and things like that, you're taking targets away from 𝐾𝐨𝐿, who is your best wide receiver. You're taking targets away from Dalton Kincaid. Like
you're taking him away from James Cook, who is not seeing the ball at all.
Exactly. And that was another thing I don't even want to talk about. Like, okay, we were down Kincaid and Palmer. Use Ty Johnson. Use James Cook. Line them out. We've seen Brady do that before. And I'm never going to buy into this nonsense that I heard Connor McGovern said this last week or the week before, that they're playing vanilla style offense. No, you have to win games. You can't. You're not playing vanilla style offense. He's calling bad games. Let's be real here. Like, why would you just, we're not showing anything? No, you have to win games. And if you think that your B-level game plan is going to be good enough, it wasn't. So at some point in that Atlanta game, he needed to adapt, and he did not. Sometime in the Patriots game, he needed to adapt, and he did not. And that's what's concerning, because it's not going to get any easier. This was supposed to be the easiest part of the Bills' schedule. And then now you have the Kansas Cities, and you have the Philadelphias, and you have a lot of good teams coming pretty soon here. So I don't know. I feel like we're taking targets away from guys that have been productive, because like you said, we want the yak yards. And sure, 𝐾𝐿 last year made a couple nice plays, I think against the Titans and against the Texans, where it was a run after catch, but it was also
he had one on Seattle too. Had a good like 70-yard or something like that.
And it was also piss poor tackling. And I feel like if you're playing the law of averages, like he should have that if you're targeting him 30 times on that route. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like you have Elijah Moore and you have Curtis Samuel when he's healthy. Like, give those guys the long downfield routes. They're going to win those routes because of their speed. And if you want to have a short intermediate game, fine. It is what it is. We complained about it last year. We complained about it the first part of this year. Then all of a sudden, randomly, first play of the game to Palmer was a 46-yard pass down the field, which was just completely out of left field. But like you said, there's the identity is gone. This team used to be, we're going to control the clock, we're going to eat up yards, we're going to have 10, 12, 15 play drives, and we're going to run the ball and score touchdowns. And that's gone. And I feel like the Bills just need to get back to that. So you want to talk about the Panthers, or you want to talk about James Cook here for a minute? Because I feel like watching, that was another thing I wanted to ask you too. Watching games on Sunday, and if you watched some games last night, how many receivers that are wide receivers 3 or 4 or maybe fringe 5 did you see catch deep passes this week? I saw a bunch. The guys that had like 2 receptions for 60 yards, and that's all they did. You know what I'm saying? It's not Jamar Chase with 24 targets. It's 2 receptions, 60 yards. One of them was 40 and one was 20. Like, we have those receivers. It's Curtis Samuel and Elijah Moore. Like, we have those guys. We just don't dig into that and try to use it. So
it's concerning to me, because this team is just so blatantly missing an element that can stretch the field and win downfield. It's just so obvious that is missing in this passing attack. Kincaid actually, I think, probably is the best weapon on the team at doing that, outside of maybe Joshua Palmer.
Yeah.
Kincaid up the seam, if you get him, isolated on a linebacker, I love that matchup. But in terms of a wide receiver, that deep shot to Palmer, that was the best deep throw that we've seen probably this season.
Made a hell of a catch on it too.
Hell of a catch. It was such a bummer that he got hurt and was banged up the rest of that game. But it's like more of that. That's what I expected when they went out and got him. This is a guy that can win deep, that can separate. But it's not enough. Like, this team is just missing that element. The defenses are not scared at all right now. So like you alluded to, they're bringing pressure. They're doing a lot of press, a lot of man. The receivers aren't winning. And it's just disrupting the entire ordeal. There needs to be more from Joe Brady designed for that. You need to have quick outlets. You need to have stuff that is easily accessible for Josh in those situations to try and slow down the defensive fronts.
That's why I feel like they're going to make a move at receiver.
I hope so, man.
I don't think it's going to be a corner or safety or linebacker or defensive tackle, I think it's going to be a wide receiver again. And I don't know what that's going to look like, if they're going to bump down Tyrell Shavers, or if they're just going to try to trade, Elijah Moore or Curtis Samuel. I don't know what
just go get 𝐃𝐨𝐽 Myers away from the Raiders.
Chris Olave.
Sure. I mean, if you really want to go for
it. Chris Olave has not signed an extension yet.
Yeah.
So that is your best option as far as future planning. You don't need him as a 1-year rental. It's a sign and extend, or trade and extend. And 𝐃𝐨𝐽 Myers, I would like. I mean, he's played with crap quarterbacks, and he's turned crap into crap sandwiches. I mean, if you want to go there. So I don't know. I just, something needs to change. Something that we had all of last year, the control. Like, I felt like the Bills were in control of almost every game last year, and offensively at least. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. So let's talk about the Panthers. Bryce Young is out. high ankle sprain, so we get to see the red rifle, Andy
Yeah, buddy.
Dalton. Hopefully, we don't get the I'm going to throw for 350 yards, once in a while, Andy Dalton, and we get to throw 4 interceptions, Andy Dalton. So because it's a crapshoot with him, and I feel
Yeah.
like he's getting long in the tooth, and there's not much arm talent left. But it concerns me because I feel like Bryce Young, as good as he was playing so far this year, I still feel like he makes some boneheaded mistakes every once in a while. And you're playing a veteran quarterback now that I don't know is going to make those same mistakes. And this Bills defense desperately needs some turnovers on defense,
Yeah.
I think, to get some momentum going. What's your thoughts so far on just not just so much Andy Dalton, but the Panthers game and all that heading into this week?
I don't know, man. Like, they're not very good. At least that's what you would like to think. On paper, they're not very good. They're 4-3. They're only one game worse than us in the
They only
record right now.
They only scored 13 points on the Jets.
Yeah, which is pretty bad.
And they should have lost that game if they had a
But
competent.
listen, what are our biggest concerns right now is opposing wide receivers. Our secondary is rough, and Tet McMillan looks pretty dang good. So I don't know. It's kind of like, it reminds me of when we win against the Saints. It's like, I don't want to take any team too lightly.
Right.
Hopefully this is a team where you're able to stomp them and get back on track and get some mojo going, because immediately following that is Kansas City.
Right.
So ideally, this is a team that you just go out there and you handle business and you get pressure on Andy Dalton and force him off his spot, and the whole nine. You got to make sure you control Derek Brown on the defensive line. That's a problematic matchup there, but our offensive line is strong. I'm not super concerned with their ground game per se, which is a welcome break. Although Rico Dowdle has had some great games this year, so I don't know. You've got to just control the line of scrimmage on defense. You've got to be able to shut down the run, get Andy Dalton off of his spot, make it uncomfortable, hopefully come up with some turnovers, get back to winning the turnover battle. It was something that we did 16 games in a row, 14 in a row, something ridiculous like that.
It was more than that.
Was it more than that?
It was 26, I think.
Oh,
dating
that's
back
right.
to 23. Yeah.
Carry the one. Long streak, and then suddenly that goes away. Let's get back to being opportunistic on defense and aggressive and make some plays on the ball. Let's get back to being opportunistic and aggressive on offense too, and score some points. So this to me is this is the litmus test of the season for me. Are you going to play down to the Panthers and have this thing be close, in which case I will be panicking about the outlook of the rest of the season?
Right.
Or are you going to come out of your bye week rested, a little bit healthier, Joe Brady gets some mojo going, come out there and, win by 17 points like you should,
right,
against the Panthers? Because put it just show me that they are who we thought they were. Show me that they're good. I just want to see a good football team on the field on Sunday.
I mean, they're 7.5 point favorites on the road. So somebody still believes. Vegas still believes in them.
Yeah. Well, they should. It's the Bills. This was a Super Bowl favorite team with last year's MVP at quarterback. You should believe in this team.
All I'm saying, John, is start keeping receipts of all the Patriots fans and the Chiefs fans saying that it's over. First and foremost, I'm not happy to watch the red Power Ranger uniforms on Sunday. Can we be done with alternate uniforms?
The last time we did an alternate uniform, it didn't go so well.
The last 2 times.
Yep.
The last 2 games were alternate uniforms. Anyways, I'm not some weird. I don't have the jinxies, but
you're not superstitious. You're just little stitious.
A little stitious. To me, I want to see James Cook get 30 touches.
Yeah.
Turn whatever playbook in that you had the last 2 weeks, burn that shit, and give me the $48 million running back who has his yards per carry. If it's not number 1, it's got to be very close. Yards per carry this season.
I've got that up in front of me.
Yards per touch as well is over the last couple seasons is ridiculous. So give the $48 million man his touches. Things go well when he gets touches, whether it's in the passing. The Bills' longest reception this year, guess who it is?
Longest reception?
Yes.
James Cook.
It's James Cook in week 1. Now it was a busted play, but still, he turned nothing into something, and a big something, and almost scored on that play. It's just, I don't know. Give him 20 to 25, runs, and give him 5 to 7 targets in the pass game. But there should be designed plays for him in the passing game. There should be. We watched Jahmyr Gibbs last night have designed plays where when the ball was snapped, it was Jared Goff looked nowhere else, right to Jahmyr Gibbs, then he made a play. So
Christian
many times.
McCaffrey, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, all of the elite running backs in the NFL are getting that type of usage. Their offensive coordinators are going, this is a James Cook play. This is a Bijan Robinson play.
Right.
We're designing this to put the ball into our best players' hands in space.
Right.
That is a big element to this offense that has been missing. Get the ball to James Cook. Get him on wheel routes, on screens, line him up in the slot. Give him an option route against a linebacker and let him dust him. I don't care what it is, but there needs to be plays that are designed to get the ball to your best player, and that is James Cook. I just don't understand why that's a hard concept.
The guy's, what was he, 4th or 5th in the NFL in rushing, and he's played one less game than everybody. It's like, you go from having 3 straight 100-yard games to just not using the guy. Like, I don't understand. And it's not like they were stopping him. He had like a 5-yard average carry against the Falcons. He almost had 100 yards on less than 20 carries. Like, it's insane. But anyways, a couple keys that I kind of want to see, and then I'll get yours, and then we'll kind of get out of here. I want to see what Michael Hoyt has. I'm really excited to watch him. Now, I know it's his first game. They might this might be like a test tube where they try to figure out, okay, is he good interior in the inside, on the outside? Is he good? Because he can cover too, which is, it's very nice to have a defensive end / defensive tackle / outside linebacker / whatever he is that can actually drop back and cover. So I'm interested to see what he can do. And I'm interested to see if Larry Ogunjobi can help in the run. I'm really interested to see what those guys bring. And then I did want to ask you, any chance that Hairston plays on Sunday?
I'm going to say no, primarily because we've heard a lot of cautious tone out of Sean McDermott over the last few weeks when asked about him, in terms of like, there's no real rush and we'll kind of like ease him back in. And like, I just don't think that they have broken the glass in case of emergency. This is a 1st-round pick. You don't want to rush this back and cause some sort of setback and stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe he rotates in. Like, maybe we get a couple snaps, like maybe he's out there some, just kind of getting his feet wet. I would be really surprised with how conservative this team typically is with those type of decisions, and just rookies in general, especially on the defense side of the ball. Like last year, Bishop, perfect example. 100%. He was only put in as safety because there were so many.
They had to.
Like, they literally didn't have anybody else. And what happened? Nico Collins ran right by him.
Right.
They know how hard it is to play at the NFL level. They understand how complicated the defensive system is, how important the communication is, how important all of this is on the defensive side of the ball. And Hairston missing those reps and those opportunities for so long now in his rookie season, they're not going to rush him out there. This is not someone where I'm expecting Max Hairston's back, our defense is saved, hallelujah.
Right.
Like, it's just not what I'm expecting. I'm very excited for him. I can't wait to see him on the field. Maybe we get some snaps this weekend of him out there, but I'm not expecting it to be a huge snap share, if at all.
Because you know who we got next week.
Oh, yeah.
And they got a speedster.
Yeah.
Who's
I want to see that.
Who's covering Worthy next week?
I'd like
Tre'Davious
to see
White?
Yeah, no.
Christian Benford?
I'd like to see Hairston. I'd like to see them give
because
him a lot of reps.
Then after that, you got the Dolphins. And then his window is officially closed after that. They have to either put him on season-ending IR or he's just game day inactive every week.
Right.
So maybe the Dolphins game is a good game to get him. Probably most likely have a new head coach at that point with the Dolphins. Plus Tyreek Hill's gone. Yeah, Jalen Waddle's probably, somewhere else. Hopefully not in the AFC East, unless it's on the Bills.
Send him to San Francisco.
No, don't say that. I live in near San Francisco. I just they're talking about how they're going to win the Super Bowl with Mac Jones. It's disgusting.
Quarterback controvery, Mac Jones.
No, you have no idea how much they don't like Brock Purdy out here because of the money that they gave him. Seriously, he's injured all the time, and
I literally choked on a spit bubble.
That's a conversation for another show. Anything else you want to touch on the Bills offense or the Panthers before we get out of here? I just want a clean game on Sunday. I want a clean physical game and come out. And I feel like we said this against the Patriots. We said this against the Falcons. We said just play a clean game and impose your will. McDermott, and I hate streaks because I feel like they're all going to the wayside this year. The primetime streaks, the coming off of a loss streaks. McDermott's 8-0 after a bye. He's never lost
first time for everything.
Coach. Hey, whoa, hey. I mean, you don't want to think he gives his buddies in Carolina, a favor. His buddies, Buffalo South down in Carolina.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
I will just say that Rico Dowdle of qualified running backs, number 1 in the NFL in yards per carry at 5.6. Wow. So, gonna have to pay attention to that. Rushing yards over expected plus 114. That is good for 4th best in the NFL.
Where's Cook on all those lists?
Cook is 6th in rushing yards over expected at plus 104. In yards per carry, he is 9th at 5.0 flat.
Cook has to be yards after contact. He has to be near the top. Has to be.
Yards after contact, 5th.
Yeah.
Because
I feel like
𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐿, 𝐿 Judkins, Javonte Williams, Jonathan Taylor.
I feel like Cook is breaking tackles on every single, like it's not, and I understand that he's running through the line, so obviously he's going to break tackles, but I feel like it's 2 or 3 dudes are on him like immediately, and he still makes it work. So
he's just so good, man. Like just give him the ball.
He's on pace. He's on pace over a 2-year span to have 31 rushing touchdowns. If you just average out what he's got, that's the most in Bills history over a 2-season span. Even if you take away 2 games because they play 17 instead of 16.
Yeah.
Thurman did 25, I think, back in 90-91 when he was MVP, and Cook's on pace for 30 plus. And we're just not giving him the ball. That's cool. So I think we should end. I think we should end it on that note. Tell everybody where they can catch all your work and stuff. I don't usually. I've been forgetting to kind of pub you a little bit on that with your writing and stuff.
Whatever. I'm just there. I'm just at Jon 𝐬𝐫𝐿 on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Do a little bit of writing for this here website as well, built in Buffalo. Need to write some more. It's actually been a couple weeks. Starting to pay attention a lot, like always, to draft content. So if you're starting to go, God, we really need a safety, we really need a linebacker, we really need a corner next year, hit me up. I know some of those names to start watching. And the boards are starting to shake out, right? Like the sickos that are like really paying attention to the draft, like stuff will still change. There's a lot of time. Things will change. The Jets fans. Actually, I'm in this big group chat, and one of the guys in there is a Jets fan. And he's like, hey, I started watching film because the Jets suck so bad. I'm like, cool. That's awesome. I do it because I'm an absolute lunatic. But yeah, hit me up. We can talk about some prospects in next year's draft class. And obviously, once we get to that point in the year, then I'll just be hammering the content like crazy. But never too early to start paying attention, although we still got some games to win.
We do, and we will. Check out all the content that we have on our YouTube channel, by the way. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. We're starting to do a lot more stuff, short form, all the cool shorts that all the new creators are doing now. Follow us on X, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, we're all over the place. So until next time, I'll be back on Friday with my usual Friday show. Until then, go Bills. Let's get a W this week.